Those homes are so
There you go. Slides. Well, look at that. All right. How many of you got a chance to rearrange your room? How did it go?
It went pretty good. So I just recently did it, and today, well, yesterday actually. So today was the first day, and the behavior seemed a lot better.
Interesting.
How it's structured, but one of my behavior students wasn't there as well. So we'll see how tomorrow goes.
All right. Anyone else want to volunteer? How did it go rearranging your room?
I got rid of a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, there was like, I don't know, I was just like, I don't know if I should get rid of this. Well, I'm never going to get rid of it.
Nice. So did you get more space?
Yeah, a lot more space.
How about the clutter? Is the clutter better?
I didn't really have a lot of clutter. It was just a lot of like extra desks, chairs, and a file cabinet that was just there because it was there when I got there. So I just left it there, and
Nice.
now it's all gone.
Good.
Seating rearrangement.
Okay, so how did
From small groups facing each other to everyone facing the kitchen area.
Okay.
So there's no excuses, or there's shoulders, friends and partners, but there's no face to face. Everybody's facing me that way.
Better engagement?
Yeah, everybody's supposed to be on task right now.
Good. In your table groups, tell your table group how many zones we talked about and what colors they were from last time. What happens in the green zone? Talk about that in your group. Green zone.
Oh, when you're next to it. They're like,
One of my five.
what is this? That song is when you're away from them, so it might be she's not academic gossip, you know.
They're kind of the ones that are like, because there were 5 of you that already done it.
All right, tell everybody what the red zone is and why it works.
So I may email you and say which one's yours. But pretty much because you did it, you get the full credit. I'll be able to find it. If not, I'll
Today I almost kissed the carpet. I was on my way to the red zone, and some kid was like that on my walkway. And I was just talking about having my access to it, so I can go from back and forth. And I'm like, are you okay? And I go,
don't worry, because he didn't say this. Plus, the year I'll get these
come back here and cameras here, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is some kind of junk rope.
I didn't hear what he said.
I'm in Lebanon, so what I did, I turned the desk around so the cables come down the wall onto the desk.
Did you say something like really serious when you walked out?
Red zone.
If I put space in the middle, so
The channel you can't get on DirecTV unless you pay $300. You have to subscribe to the NFL package to get the NFL Red Zone. Okay, in your small groups, I want you to talk about proximity and did you use it and how did it work? Proximity.
But my computer's small. So you're hovering all the time. Hovercraft. So what if
They're never more than one row away from me. Like there's a row and then the second row, they're never further than me.
so does that work?
Most because I'm RSP, so I have like 4 at a time.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that because that's why I said you're anyway. Oh, yeah. Did it work though when you push it? They don't like when you stand there. They want to know, even if they love you, they're like, well, you're just putting this one.
Yes, that's why.
Can I talk about it? 3, 2, 1. All right. We talked about your favorite teachers. And one of the things I pointed out was that a common trait, according to data across the nation, are that the most effective and often our most favorite teachers are the ones that have this. We talked about it last time. See if you can remember. Talk about it in your small groups. They have this.
Higher scores. What? The ones that are higher scores. Not the teachers that are bonded where they work. Is that what you're saying?
You have to read the grade 15 book.
When you rub some dirt on it.
Content break it down.
3, 2, 1. All right. Ever been around somebody who's dealing with pain, whether it's they're susceptible to migraines, or they have chronic back pain or chronic knee pain? Have you ever been around somebody like that? The pain specialists tell you that you have 2 choices. You can react to pain, or you can manage the pain, right? And so if you're anyone susceptible to migraines? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone? All right, and so migraine, do you know when it's coming on? Can you know the instant, this is a symptom, it could be?
It like for me at least, it slowly starts and then all of a sudden it'll be like so painful that I'm double over on the floor, like just yanking at my hair.
So when it slowly starts, do you reach for your medicine right then?
If I remember when I'm busy, like if I'm busy doing like something with work, I'll be so super hyper focused on that I won't even realize that it's coming on until it's too late.
Okay, and that's a good, I'm going to come back to that. Anyone else might have thought I saw another migraine hand going up? Migraine? And do you have signs or symptoms that kind of tell you something's coming?
Yeah, just like pressure right here.
Just a little pressure, not too bad. What do you do?
Huh?
Do you wait for it to get worse, or you take care of it right
You
now?
hope it goes away sometimes, huh?
You put your thumb right here and you just start running it.
All right. Once the migraine comes on, is it easy to chase away?
No.
Okay. Just like with pain management, you really need to manage your pain instead of reacting to pain. Okay, ladies? When you feel those first symptoms, reach for your medication. Hopefully it doesn't get bad. Same with classroom management. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And what do we mean by that? Talk about that in your table groups. What does it mean to have an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure?
If you suspect, like you're slipping and just get on top of it before.
You know what I've done in the past year with that thought is if I knew this kid, there's always that kid that they go, oh, you got that kid. And in my head I go, okay, because competitive, I'm like, oh, I don't have any problem. But I would make sure that I called the parent before the meeting was on and say, hey, I'm loving this one. Yeah. Because then the kid's like, come on, mom. Like, yeah, come first.
At least twice a day. I'm like,
Well, yeah, and then they're like, when you first call them, they're like, what do you do?
getting on into the storytelling industry.
And then
3, 2,
and they never
1.
really
All right.
kind of.
So now we're seeing that classroom management isn't something that we react to, it's something that we plan for. Now, there are, on occasion, people that are just natural at classroom management. And they walk into a room and whoosh, and everybody's engaged. But those people are rare. That's the bad news, okay? The good news is, it can be learned. We can teach you how to manage your classroom, but it takes planning, right? Tonight we're going to walk through some physical way your face looks, your body language, and communicating to students without ever saying a word. Think about this for a moment. It's not the teacher's back talk that gets a kid kicked out of class. It's not a student's back talk that gets a kid kicked out. It's the teacher's back talk that gets the kid kicked out of class. What do you mean? I need you to straighten up in your chair. I was straightening my chair straight. I don't want to have to ask you again. I need you to sit down and take care of business. I am taking care of business. If I have to ask you, right, now I've gone into nagging, right? Bad strategy in the first place. But now what? Now my agitation is getting up, and I'm going to say, if I have to one more time, and I might one more time, I'm 6 more times, and finally I've had enough. Hey, in any society, at any age, at any race, in any culture, we have a premise of I am not losing face in front of my peers. And so when we start to engage a student in that kind of back talk, even kindergarten kids are not going to back down. So we have to figure out a way around that. And we're going to work on using our body to manage a class tonight without ever saying a word. And later on, in a couple more sessions, we'll work on back talk and how to work it out in your favor as well, so that students start behaving. All right, calm. In your small groups, I want you to tell your groups, did you have a drill sergeant parent or a nurturing soft parent? Okay? Your parents.
She'd be the good guy inside. This is just her, single mom.
Oh. Wasn't a drill sergeant. Your
I have an older brother.
One of my
My dad was a hellion.
3, 2, 1. A couple things. We're going to come back and circle back to calm in a moment. But think about this. Now we talked about your parenting skills as basically inherited from your parents. Okay? And if you grew up in a house where people were loud and your parents yelled at you, and someone else yells at you, probably not too big of a deal, right? Unless it was over the top, which we'll get to in a second. But what if you were raised in a calm, cool setting, and now an adult is yelling? What does that do to you emotionally? I mean, I've gotten to the point, even though I grew up in a house of yellers, where if someone starts to raise their voice at me, I have enough self-confidence now to say, I will not be talked to that way. When you calm down, then we can have this discussion. Okay? I don't allow people to just go off on me anymore. That's not going to happen. Right?
I'm sorry. I just
Now, let's talk about the other kid. It's in a house full of yellers, and it's trauma all the time. I mean, over the top. And then you raise your voice in the classroom. What have you probably done to that student? You triggered them. You've caused them to be afraid, right? All right, now let's talk about something that's going to be the theme for the rest of the night.
Wait, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yes.
To go with that, I was, because I taught intercity also, or I guess you'd call it intercity Fresno.
These kids, most of our kids, the majority of them I should say, they go home and they're either ignored or screamed at. If you step into that role, that's what they're used to, and they've got tons of coping skills for that. And it may not be good. So you need to realize you are different. You need to be different. Don't be a yeller and don't be an ignorer. That doesn't mean you have to walk up to every kid and hug them every morning and say, good morning, it's so good to see you. But, I mean, if you can, great. But if you can at least make eye contact, say good morning, walk by, touch them and say, good morning. Something that, let them know that you're glad they're there. You're not ignoring them. And you're not screaming at them. So you're going to lean a little bit more towards you because you're going to be safe to them. And consistent. Sorry.
All right, guys in the room, gentlemen. Think back to when you were 15, 16, 17, okay? And you saw this just gorgeous woman, and it's all you can think about. And it came time to ask her to go to a dance, and you got there. What happened? Were you like cool, or were you like so nervous that you could barely get the words out? Kylie, don't forget to sign in. Okay, thanks. Do you remember? I will tell you that happened to me every time. It didn't go away at 16. It's still 26. Right? All right. How many of you have walked away from an interview and 2 hours later you went Homer Simpson on him? You went, "Oh, I should have said." Right? Have y'all had that experience? How about this one? You've had a fight with your significant other. And 2 hours later, and another thing. I should have said.
And they're looking at you like you're nuts because they dropped it a long time ago.
Why? Is this the big delay in what we're trying to say? Well, there's a big reason for that. And it's happening to you in the classroom every day. Your brain is wired on a fight-flight reflex. So most of the time, when you are calm and cool and collected, you're thinking in what we call your neocortex, which psychologists and neurologists would say is the newest part of your evolutionary brain, if you believe in evolution. Okay? The newest part of your brain. When you're agitated, if something comes up and startles you in some way, and we'll talk about those keys in a second, your brain shifts from your neocortex to your brainstem, also known as your reptilian brain. It's old school. It says there's a lion and I gotta run. That's what happens when I'm out there fishing and I see a snake. Feet don't fail me now. I scream like a little girl. Ah! Actually, I was on the American River last week fishing, and sure enough, a snake came out because it was trying to get warm, and I'm like, oh, so I'm splashing it with water. Go away, go away, go away, go away. Finally, it got tired, and it was just a gopher snake, I could tell, but I'm sorry. My buddy's afraid of spiders.
Me? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
And I found out the hard way the last time I took him fishing, because we went through and there's these spider webs and these big wolf spiders are out here, and he's freaking out, like, what the heck? It's just a spider. What are you worried about? Well, the way he feels about spiders, the way I feel about snakes. And it kicks in the fight-flight reflex, and you literally lose the ability to think logically. Now, in the classroom, when Johnny gets up for the 4th time, when somebody farts and they're not supposed to, when, right, your administrator walks in, right, everything tightens up. And after this kicks off, it takes about 20 to 40 minutes for all of the adrenaline, because it literally hits your adrenal glands and releases epinephrine, a chemical in your body that causes your pupils to dilate, your blood vessels to constrict, the digestion in your stomach to stop. It causes blood pressure to go up. It causes everything to get ready to either I'm going to duke it out or I'm going to run. 40 minutes for it to relapse. Every time there's an interruption or disruption in your classroom, your fight-flight reflex is being activated. And by the end of the day, you're exhausted. And if you drive home like most of you do, about a 40-minute drive, 30-minute drive, by the time you get home, it's all you can do to keep your eyes open. And then you say, gosh, I'm going to reach for the coffee because I need a stimulant. Because you can actually be addicted to your own fight-flight reflex. It's a stimulant. You're kind of high on your own stuff. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. What happens, though, if you are in the reptilian mind frame with 38 students in the classroom? They own you. Now it's 38 kids to 1. And remember, a kid gets paid to goof off. That's all they want to do. Their whole motive in life is how to have fun and how to entertain myself and how to goof off. And if they can get you off track, they will. And they're not doing it because they're malicious. They're just kids. Come on, admit it. You were in college, and you knew that if you asked a certain question to a certain professor, he'd spend the next 45 minutes talking about something that had nothing to do with anything. Come on. And now you get on your phone and play. Right? You're all. Are you that way? Does a blow up in your classroom derail you and the next hour? Right? And it could be anything, even a fire alarm, right? It's going off for the 4th time. It could be a kid that comes in late for the 10th time or whatever. All of these things are beginning to kick off the fight-flight reflex. So in about 20 minutes, we're going to go through some exercises to help you understand what calmness feels like. So we're going to lead you through an exercise of that. And then we're going to practice staying calm with each other. I told you we're going to get goofy in here. Tonight's it. Yes. And you're going to practice being calm with your elbow partner, and it's going to feel totally awkward, but I promise if you master it here, you'll be able to do it in class without any problem. Okay? All right. So we're going to plan our classroom management and eliminate our potential problems. We've got rid of the file cabinet. Jenny's going to talk a minute about what's on your walls, tripping things, anything we can do to eliminate problems, right? My kids are sitting too close to the desk and they're grabbing things off the teacher desk. They're not putting things away. They don't know the procedure. We're going to talk about that. Think it out. Class organization is a huge factor in classroom control. All right, you're up.
So he was talking about, I mean, some of this stuff is logical, but one of the things that bothered me the most, and I never really planned for it, is my windows. Because I had high school kids, and you know, any girl walks by, the boys are off. And they have not heard a word you've said. I mean, I get it with my teenager right now. She's got a little boyfriend, and we tell her she's stuck on stupid sometimes. Like, why is it every time you have a little boyfriend, you can't think? Like, I don't get it. But apparently, and I taught high school for 20 years, but I'm like, really? Like, she asked us the dumbest question yesterday, and we just looked at her at dinner, and we're like, huh, okay. Like, we don't even know what to say, because you know she knows. When you've got your kids facing the window, I mean, I'm that kid too. I'm going to be watching everybody that walks by. If there's a fight, an argument, a teacher getting yelled at by the principal, I mean, like, I'm going to be watching that, and I'm not thinking about what the teacher's thinking, or saying, or pointing to. I could care less. Because I have a really short attention span, and I guarantee most of your students do too. With that in mind, I think you were mentioning that he had all the kids now face front instead of facing each other because that's just a social invitation. That doesn't mean you can't put them in groups, right? That's where it says be flexible. I used to do a lot of Socratic stuff or group stuff. I love that. And it means I didn't have to teach as hard. But if I have a group here, it's okay to move them, to get them into a group to do it. But I wouldn't leave them like that if you have trouble with them wanting to be social butterflies. Or strategically place these kids. Oh, was it you? She said, the really good kids, the ones that stay focused, not good like behavior-wise, but just the ones that are self-motivated, she puts them in the back because she doesn't have to worry about them as much. Makes sense, right? I was that kid that if you gave me the back row, I was going to be in the back row. I still am that kid. If I'm in a conference, I'll sit in the back. And 2 minutes in, I'll be texting because I get bored. Make those kids go to the front. If you may be in the front, I know one time, this one educator in my entire long academic career, Larry Powell, used to be the superintendent of Fresno County. He used to be our Central Unified soup, so he knows me very well. Not because I was in trouble a lot, he just knew me really well. And we were at a conference for Avid or something, and we were sitting off to the side, and of course I'm in the back of that row, and he's talking and I'm whispering to somebody. And all of a sudden I look up and he stops in front of all these people and is just looking at me. And then he said something about Central to make the point that, you know, Jenny, I saw you. And I was like, oh my God, I just got reprimanded and I'm like 42 and oh my God. And I was so embarrassed. So where I sit, I can tell you has a huge effect on how I behave. And that's gonna be the same for your kids. Make sure the desks are where you can walk through and not have to trip over a skateboard or their backpacks or their things. I know some of the desks in some of the schools I've subbed for, they have hooks and they can hook their backpacks on there. But sometimes that doesn't work real well if you've got, you know, 35 kids in a classroom. That just adds more room. I mean, takes away from your room walking around. Your instructional style, if you are very much the I do, you do, we do kind of thing, or we do, I do, you do. If you're very much like that, and you get up, you teach your lesson, the kids do their own thing, and you don't do a lot of group stuff, then that's probably a great setup for you, the way it is up there. But if you're like me, I don't like things to be consistent all the time. I don't like a quiet classroom, so I'm going to move the kids, keep them busy, get them to move their blood, all that kind of stuff. And know your special needs. The kid that don't only accommodate those kids that are truly on 504s and IEPs. You're going to have kids that fall through the cracks. If you notice a kid is straining, go ahead and move them up to the front. Don't make a big deal out of it. Maybe when you have a parent conference, mention something to mom. But you know, some of those people are weird about that. Or they can't afford the glasses, or whatever. So make sure you're aware of your kids. I can tell you one of the things I didn't know much about was diabetes. You know, when I first moved to California from Georgia, we didn't have asthma either in Georgia. I mean, I'm sure we did, but not at the scale we have it out here. And I remember I was coaching in Sanger, and I had a kid who had her inhaler. And so they would all hand me their inhalers, and I'd have like 5 inhalers in each pocket. And they would be running for practice, and one of them said, "Coach, I need my inhaler." And I go, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine." Because I didn't know, right? Know this stuff. Know if you have a kid that's diabetic, because they probably won't tell you. And we didn't always have nurses that told us. But, you know your kids well enough to know, because when that kid crashes in class or starts acting drunk, or, and you're going to immediately think, because that's what we do, oh my God, this kid's high or drunk. You need to know that that kid's diabetic. And I will say, all the things that I didn't understand, guess who has them now? So now I understand, and it's terrible. And it's terrible to think that I had kids in there that probably really did need, I mean, I always had food, and they always came and got it out of the fridge, but you got to know. So, special needs, and know when to change. If these two start dating, I mean, hypothetically, if they start dating and you start seeing them holding hands under there, move them. Because I guarantee you, once those hormones kick in, they're not thinking. So be aware. Otherwise, it's also going to make your life miserable, because they're going to be like magnets. Any questions about that so far? Makes sense. But there's so much strategy, and I think this is what excites me about classroom organization, is you can quell a lot of problems. If she's the really quiet kid and somebody over here is really loud, why not pair them together? At least it'll be, hypothetically, they're going to cancel each other out. Doesn't always work that way, because then you've got the talker that gets along with everybody. You know that kid that has the shirt on Facebook that says, "Doesn't matter where you move me, I'm always going to find somebody to talk to." This came up last time, and we talked a little bit about it. Your desk cannot be your planter. Okay? If it's in the front, especially if it's right in the front, you're going to be tempted to sit and do all your lecturing from here. Don't do it. Not you, because you don't really have a desk to sit at. But if you have a desk, a podium, a lectern, Okay, I would encourage you not to have it up front and be where you camp. Obviously, a lectern is going to be at the front of the classroom, but if you don't put a chair there, you're less likely to sit in it. You have to be standing up and talking. But you should be the focus. A lot of times, having the desk in the back, in the middle, in the corner, you can see what's going on, maybe facing the window. With today's safety concerns, I wouldn't mind having my desk face the window in case I have to get up and move something really quickly, and I can see it happening before the kids, and I can be calm in my, hey, let's turn the lights out and have a nap period or something, whatever. Just don't use your desk for a place to park. Place to park. Does that make sense to why that's the case? The only thing is taking roll. You guys probably get in trouble if you don't take roll. I was horrible about taking roll. Horrible. And I would get a note by about 2 o'clock saying, hello, we need to know who's here. And I think if my desk was up front, I'd be more likely to sit down and take roll, but I would be a less effective teacher. Field of view. We talked about this last time. This back here needs to be, I wouldn't say boring, but I wouldn't say busy, because you want you to be the focus. No bright colors, maybe some academic type posters or guides or what have you, but ideally I would maybe have a couple inspirational posters because I want them thinking that when they're looking at me. But I don't know, have any of you ever had that horrible feeling of the kids are all giggly and you're thinking like your pants are, your flies open, or, did I have a button open, I would just kind of try to defer that all the time and go, yeah, I know, my clothes don't match, it's okay. I got dressed in the dark, or I made a joke about it so that they weren't snickering about it and I'm sitting there trying to figure out what they're laughing at. I mean, they laughed at me all the time anyway, but using technology effectively, that's kind of what we talked about last time. The professor I had that told me about walking in front of the overhead and how distracting that is, or crooked. I think about that a lot when I would write on the board, because I'd be in a hurry and it would get sloppier and sloppier. Most of you elementary school teachers have very pretty handwriting, and I used to back in the old days, but not so much now. And so I was always envious of the teachers that could be perfectly straight, because I know that I'm writing like this, and I know it's driving my kids crazy. Okay, they just learned to accept that with me, but I know there's a couple kids in my class that probably were like, God, Miss Taylor, really? We can't even read your handwriting. And so I always felt horrible about that. Keep that in mind. All of those things are going to be distractors. And if a kid can find a reason to be distracted, they're going to. That's pretty much that on that. Just kind of stay calm, don't take the bait. I'm very proud of this slide. The staircase. Steve, talked about don't let it escalate. Okay, I had a kid one time, he was kind of a punk. Sat in the back, of course, because I didn't know any better at that time. And he was having a bad day, and he laid, you could tell he had an attitude, and he threw it at me. And I was having a bad day, and I threw it back at him. And pretty soon he said, you're a bitch. And I said, that may be, but you are now out of my class. And he said, whatever, you can't make me leave. And I'm like, oh, I can. Well, now we're in I've already gone up that staircase, and I've lost it. Sure enough, I kicked him out. He ended up in the office claiming he was going to get my job. So it didn't stop. He kept on. And he made sure that some of my kids heard him say, oh, I'll get her job. She's, whatever. Don't. I lost that battle. That was my fault. I could have just said, hey, I can see you're having a bad day in school. Or gone over to him later, not said anything, not engaged him, and later said, hey, I'm sorry about earlier, are you okay? Boom, disarmed him. There's no fight. He may say, I'm still a bitch. Okay. But I'm one that showed a little bit of compassion going to talk to him instead of automatically assuming that he was in the wrong. This is key right here, especially if you have a temper like I do. Best thing for that, I would say, for me, is humor, because otherwise I get really ticked. Hey, is the sound up? This video came out, some of you have probably seen it on Facebook. I actually emailed the lady that posted it and said, is it okay for me to share this? We talk about, Steve and I have said that relationships are probably the biggest motivating factor for why your kids will behave and will be successful in the classroom, right? This video is pretty powerful. I don't know if you can read that.
I think we're good.
Did you see it? No, did you see it?
Hunter, I guess he committed suicide. But I didn't show it to you to depress you. I think it's important, even if you're elementary, kindergarten, we never know what these kids are dealing with. And even if we do, we don't necessarily we're not in their shoes. The best you can be is, what's the word we were saying? Empathetic. There you go. It's important for us to realize that when a kid walks into class and they're not normally that kid bouncing off the walls, okay, and they're acting different, something is contributing to that. If a kid all of a sudden is a jerk to you, something is contributing to that. This kid didn't walk in this morning or wake up and say, I'm going to be a jerk to Miss Taylor today. They usually are dealing with something, and for some of them it's stuff that we could never possibly understand. And that is why I wanted to show you that, so you can understand that every single one of those kids has something. There might be one kid in there with the perfect family, and we all know that there's no perfect family. So we're going to have a break, and when you come back, you're going to get to do the Queen Liz stuff, so 10 minutes. So we'll meet back at 5:30.
That was not a good video.
I just thought it was really like, yeah, not the suicide part so much as.
And I was thinking, I have Finder, and I hadn't thought about Finder. There are stock cards because I share. I have down the middle there. I have the Finder, so my kids don't see the one window that we have. Because of that, I often first thing in the morning when I get there, I'll unlock my door and just leave it unlocked because that way the kids aren't sitting there.
Yeah.
Knock once, I'll be right there.
Yeah.
If not, they'll sit there and knock until I get up
As if you
and
didn't hear them.
yeah. And because then in curious, she's trying to work with some kids. And so I do that a lot, and I didn't even know the fact that, with all the dangers that happen at schools. I'm like, yeah, there's right next to the main gate, which was two big gates that open all the way.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I leave my door wide. It's not open, but it's unlocked, so that people just come in and out. And I'm on the other side of a wall, but I don't see the wall. I mean, granted, the majority of the time my room is empty. He was saying it's only when I have kids in. I was just like, I can't sit and think about that. We have too many kids going in.
You know what's, I think it sucks that it happens.
Probably 10 people, teachers with all.
You shouldn't have.
Right, and most of my career I never felt like, yes, and that my kids would let me know if something was going down.
Yes, that's what I said.
But on the other side of that, I had a kid who was murdered, and after he was murdered,
They cheat.
I just found that so
These kids are not honest.
and stuff like that doesn't usually rattle me. Usually I'm like, oh, so sweet, I understand. You know, stuff happens, kind of. But after he was killed, I was like, well, one of the moms was on the news.
I don't guess as far as
But then she said, well, all the kids carry guns, they just don't all use them. And I was like, whoa, the fact that a mother, you know, that's weird. And I think that got me. And I retired not long after that. Because it scared me, and then I came back,
first semester I was really sick, and I was doing coaching. That's what you guys talk to, right? Yeah. And I was doing a coaching with a guy, and I had known this guy forever, and I knew him away from school. I knew him when he worked for a paper, and I thought for sure he was because of us, and these kids were terrible. When I came back from Christmas, and one little girl, she was maybe like 5'4", skinny. She stood up and said, and I was like, what? Like, I had never heard that in my entire career. And I kicked her out. She went to the special office. She went and met with the vice principal and convinced him to not do anything. And I'm like, no, I would have hung her out. But that was not okay. And he went and basically wrote me off and sailed me up to superintendent. I just told her I moved her. I wanted to move her because she was sitting by somebody that respected her. She and I had trouble the whole rest of the year, but at the end of the year, she wrote me a letter and she was sorry that she didn't give me a chance. And I was like, oh, okay. So you don't always know, but he squared up on one kid and I expected that to happen. I think he was ours. He squared up on this one kid and the other teacher and said, like, you can see he was puffing up. I'm like, are you serious? You're going to fight me with a kid? That was when I lost
But you were here. You should have said, I
well,
was like a
Steve likes to say, he likes to say, don't laugh at your jokes. I always, always.
I do. I even make that. I will literally say that. I'm like, I don't like looking at me. I'm horrible. No. And so the kids think it's funny and they laugh at it. It's a special wheelchair that he like leans forward on.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm walking, I'm walking.
I don't have that so much. It wasn't, and as he comes up to me, I'm like, hey, maybe that's why she just left. She don't want to use my I don't even have them. Like, I don't know if it's they're all horrible. He's like, it's okay. I wouldn't like. He's just in a wheelchair. He's trying to be playful and.
Well, and I'm sure she thinks it is. People usually either ignore him or shy away. Yeah. There's this kid, I think it might have been an OCI. Is there a kid there that has like the reverse walker? What? Really?
Yeah, he was there the first year.
Really popular. Kids, kids loved it. The American Indian? I think so, and I was so impressed. Yes, I think that's what I said. I did. Yeah, he was in my class.
I need that instant, like, because if it is just like an addiction, every time they get it, giving them a little bit of dopamine.
And he's at the high school now? Yeah. Yosemite?
For like 5-10 minutes. When I was
and I had like 11 kids on my team, and I'm like,
that's it.
and I'm like, how do these kids not each other?
You palm your hand and you don't do that.
I remember him being so impressive.
Having next year, from top place in knowledge to achievement.
And he zoomed everywhere.
And maybe at the end of the year,
Kids
like,
just
look,
all loved it.
I wish I could go back to
Class, I think it's called.
I feel like the juniors, like, the graduates now, the kids are now, like, I would say 30% more.
It's pretty good. I love it. I met with the superintendent once. Super guy, right?
They've been taking a 2-5. just don't care about
Yeah.
I thought too, your freshman year, you said freshman year,
MBRI.
your sophomore year, you have to make that. If you after sophomore year, you've already taken yourself now you're gonna have to do
Oh, was it really?
pasta. And by the time you turn around,
That's the word I'm looking for.
somewhere. I'm like, I need to know where, and I think I know where.
In district. So she not getting that.
Did you pass out?
I told her, she said, well, she and I talked together.
She goes, oh, you know, she's so funny. I'm like, I know I have this. I'm like, I managed the third time.
I was doing this, and somebody says, then this is when she was at,
Hey, Mr. Carter. I've been taking so many notes.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Where you at? No, these are the who they're.
We know. I just don't know. And their personality, I think both schools are so different. I've heard we had two. We had our oldest, and she did not. And our youngest thrives. All right. So, what I need you to do right now on any piece of paper, one of the Post-its, whatever, it's really for your information. You're going to identify the students in your caseload, if you're high school, any of your classes. Identify your students that need frequent attention, whether it be discipline, accommodations, focus, etc. You're going to write down 5 of them. 5 of them that you know. And here's the thing. It may not be a kid that has special needs. It may be a kid that you just know is really withdrawn. There was a kid last year who lost her dad at Christmas. And this teacher identified her as somebody that she needed to maybe make a focus on. And so 5 kids, and then identify where you think they would be best served in your current seating chart and think about why. Oh, somebody's eating all the Hershey's. Probably about another 2 minutes. Keep in mind this list needs to be just for you. And this next week, I want you to focus on these 5, or self-focus. I don't want you to just focus on them. But make a conscious effort to move them. Make a conscious effort to maybe reach out a little bit, maybe show them a little bit more, not necessarily attention, but be subconsciously aware of what these kids' needs might be and how you can accommodate them. Because again, that gives them that safe, caring, cared for feeling in the classroom.
Do that part, and then I'm doing it part.
Okay. We talked about this a little bit last class. 2 seats away. But also we talked about a proximity to get kids to behave. If I'm here and they're doing something, I have to walk all the way over there to get there. But it's a very powerful tool. If you're 2 to 3 feet away, don't get right on their business, because they're going to be like, they're going to start smelling your cologne or your BO, and they're going to make comments, right? So you want to be about 2 to 3 feet, 45-degree angle. Okay? And whether I'm lecturing, I know a lot of you guys have the tablets that you can lecture from anywhere in the classroom. I recommend that you do that, because generally the problems are going to be in the back of the classroom. And so if you can be lecturing, and then just kind of stand here, they're going to be like, what are they doing? Why are they standing here? They're going to be thinking about you and not what they were doing. That's why. It's important that you understand you don't want to invade their bubble, because then all they're thinking about is that you're invading their bubble. They don't really know what it is, but they're going to be like, why is this person in my girl? Okay, but if you stay away, but you make it clear that this is the problem, okay, and I'm standing here, most of the time students tend to self-correct. Okay? The proximity, the reason you need to have an interior loop, and we actually have one in here for the most part, is that I can get to any of you while I'm lecturing without having to say, excuse me, and put my butt in people's face and all that. I can get here, and everybody kind of has to be aware, and if nothing else, they're aware of where I am because they're doing something they're not supposed to be on their computer or whatever. Okay? That interior loop is a key thing, and that's what we're adding today to the 2 seats away. Nothing new about this. Looking at your new layout that you did for homework, do you have the interior loop? Are you able to walk freely and get behind every table, in front of every table? And are your kids no more than 2 seats away when you come up to this or when you come up to that? Okay? Don't plant yourself. I can tell you, in some of the older teachers or people who have any kind of disability or handicap, our propensity obviously is with Me Too to sit. I have to make myself get up and make sure I don't just sit here, make sure that I visit other tables. You need to do that too. It's just hard, especially if you're getting frazzled. There was a teacher that I observed quite a bit a couple years ago, and you know somebody over there would be whispering, or then it was junior high, so of course you know somebody fart, and then everybody over here would start laughing. So I'd go, you know, he'd go over there and stand next to that person doing proximity. Well, that kid that did that would stop, but his two homies over here are the ones now who are picking it up. So how do you remedy this ping pong game that's going on? And that is, well, what Steve's going to talk about next. Proximity obviously isn't going to be incredibly effective if you've got kids on opposite sides of the room. They're going to play you. So keep in mind that proximity is not going to work for every kid. If that makes sense, you guys know because you experienced it, right? Okay. To make it effective, you need to remain calm, and this is where Steve loves to have you guys do crazy stuff.
All right, unfortunately, there's 23 of you in the room. So one triad. The rest of you need to be in pairs, and you need to face each other. So you need to find a pair.
You guys will be a triad then, right? Or no? Oh, no. You can go with one of you can go with him.
One of you is going to have the back table wants the triad. Okay. But the rest of you need to be in pairs. And I want you to move your chairs so that your feet are pointing at each other.
That annoyed me.
Wait, no, if we can do that without a triad, then break that triad
I
up.
thought I counted 23 tonight. Is there 24?
Yeah, we're even.
I miscounted! You're educating us? I'm an English teacher. I handle supply finances. Hey, you know, in my family, I make all the important decisions. I decide if we should confirm Kavanaugh. I decide if we should have sanctions against North Korea. And my wife makes all the little decisions, where we're going, where we're spending our money, and who we're doing it with. All right, first we're going to learn how to relax. I want you to feel what it feels like to relax. So put your back in the back of the chair and your hands on your thighs and your feet flat on the floor. No crossing of your feet. That's not
This is relaxed right here.
And now, this is important that you not talk. Breathe in slowly and keep the breath small. Relaxing breath is not a deep breath, rather it uses a minimum of energy when you're resting. Relax as you exhale. Rather than pushing out, exhale with a simple, whole body, relaxing response. Ready? Breathe in, 2, 3, breathe out, 2, 3. All right, now I want you to scrunch all your muscles, your toes, your calves, your thighs, your abdomen, your chest, your biceps, your triceps, your trapezoids. I want you to tense them all up. Just tense it up, and I want to see that on your face. All right, now I want you to relax. Take a relaxing breath. 2. Exhale slowly. Take another relaxing breath. Let it out. And in. You feel the difference between being all scrunched up, faces all, and relaxed. Now if we went too far, you all fall asleep on me, so I don't want to go there. Okay, now I want you to do one more thing. I want you to learn how to relax your face. Because here's the trick. For whatever reason, as adults, we tend to kind of lose this ability. But kids can read us like books. And the younger they are, the better they are at reading your emotions. And if a kid knows that they're getting under your skin, they're going to keep at it. One way to make your face relax is to unclench your jaw. So I want you to face your partner and clench your jaw. Stop. And then describe what you saw. What emotion do they feel?
Serious man.
You just look like
All right. Here's the trick. Your face has to show no emotion. All right? Because check it out. How many of you teach junior high? If you crack a joke in junior high, what happens to the class?
it's hard
Gone!
not to smile, but it's not pissed off.
Okay. If a kid cracks a joke and you smile or laugh, what happens to the class? Kid tells another one. Even humor cannot be conveyed sometimes in your class. Now, I'm not saying it at all times, but you know when it's right before a test, come on, man, we got to pull it together, right?
Yeah.
Nor can you show panic, anxiety, stress, and especially anger. And if we can learn to relax, we fight the fight-flight reflex and stay calm, we continue to think with our neocortex, and we can still manage the class. When we're thinking with our reptilian brainstem, that kid that's agitating you is controlling the whole class. So here's the trick. To get a neutral face. I am not amused. A poker face. It's not angry, it's not happy. It's neutral. The way you do it to relax your jaw is to put the tongue on the roof of your mouth. Right where the soft palate meets the hard part. And what does it do to your jaw? So show your partner. Now what do you see?
Like point your tongue or just like the flatness of
All right, let's try again. Back in the chair, hands on your thighs, feet on the floor, pointing at your partner. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Exhale. That you can't do.
Sorry.
Let's practice again. Oh, one other trick. One other trick. I want you to look at your partner, but not in their eyes. Because it's a trick to not be engaged. So I want you to find a focal point on their face.
on their face.
But not directly into their eyes. All right, here we go.
That's like awkward though.
Feet back and back and hand, no crossing legs. Hands on the thighs. Here we go.
So instead of being conflictual,
Take a relaxing
look
breath.
at your bangs.
Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. You cannot laugh. Because Walker, I'm going to do something in a moment that's going to try to make you laugh. So you got to find that focal point.
Finding a focal point. I like that.
Here we go again.
Because I completely.
Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find a focal point. Exhale. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. All right, how you feeling about that? All right, in your groups, I want you to designate who are the alphas and who are the betas. Pick.
Like in
your
real
group.
life, or you just want to just
Right now, I want you to
Number
pick
people
who's
off.
in your group. Your two pair. Who's the alpha? Who's the beta?
in our home?
Alpha, beta. Okay.
Okay, so we're just putting them on
One of you is the alpha. The other's the beta.
Random.
random.
All right. Alpha. Your job, but you cannot say a word, is to make your partner smile or laugh.
Which one? Who's?
Alpha.
Alpha. All right.
Betas. Your job is to maintain your neutral face. Remember, no talking. We'll get there in a moment. No talking. You're learning to control your emotions and your body language so that your kids can't read what you're thinking. Be honest, if they don't know what you're thinking, they're scared of you. Here we go. Alphas, you're going to make the beta smile or laugh, but you cannot say a word.
Tell me when you're ready.
Ready? Begin. Take a big last breath. That didn't work. All right, let's try it again.
I got all y'all.
You've been doing good.
I'm busy watching her.
All right, here we go. Come on, now y'all got to do better than that. If your partner can make you laugh right now, think about what your students can do to you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's easy.
Here we go. Here we go. No talking. Can't use your words yet. Ready? Begin. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. And stop.
Oh, she didn't give in to him.
Is that better?
She was starting to.
Now we're going to switch. Now we're going to switch.
So not
All right, ready?
fair. Doing this.
Remember, no talking. Begin. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Relax. Yes, we did. And stop. Well, you guys did better than the alphas. Here we go again. Here we go again.
Can I get into a more comfortable position? Because this is not comfortable for me.
No.
It's not supposed to.
I want arms crossed. If I can have arms crossed, I'm golden.
But that looks grouchy.
Supposed to be like
Because that's a sign of agitation.
Dang it.
Just like smiling is a sign of aggression.
All right. Show them the smile. Ready?
Wait, whose turn?
Same one.
Now?
So so we said the alphas were making you laugh first. Now we're saying the betas are making you laugh, right?
Oh, so was me.
Betas are making you laugh. The alphas are trying to have a straight face.
So are we allowed to talk or no?
No talking.
Just facial
making
expressions?
Yes.
Or dancing.
Or picking your armpit.
Do I have to look at her? Can I just put my eye?
Gotta find the focal point. Ready? Begin. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Focal points. Exhale. Aye. That was horrible.
I don't see you. I was trying, but I can see what you were doing. That's why I had to do the
That was bad. Let's try it again. No talking yet. We're going to add that in a minute. We got to pass this one first. Vince Lombardi said, "Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect." So there's no reason for me to move on to the next stage yet if y'all haven't mastered this one yet. So come on now. Here we go. And begin. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Find your focal point. Exhale. All right, very good. All right. Now,
Look at your armpit now.
I think we both thought we were going.
now you have to know the pacing. Take a relaxing breath. Check my jaw. Find my focal point. Exhale. You have to know that because you aren't going to be able to hear me in just a second. All right, so going back to alphas, are the agitators, right? This time you can say whatever you want to say, but it has to be funny. You want to try to make them laugh. Okay? Try and make them laugh.
Never.
Ready? Remember, betas, you're going to have to keep that pacing on your own because you won't hear me. Ready? Begin.
I forgot to shave.
You got her.
There you go.
And stop. All right. So I'm not sure if y'all were laughing because you were the agitator or if you were laughing because you were being agitated. How many of you got it mastered? Here we go.
I'm a
One time,
master
say it. All right. Same pair, same two rolls. Here we go. And begin. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw.
Oh, you're trying it again?
Find your focal point. Exhale.
No?
Oh man.
That's like go through. I was like,
And stop. Okay.
better.
All right. Switch roles. Switch roles. Now the betas are the agitator. Here we go. And begin.
Ready?
Take a
High
nice
school
breath.
readers.
Check your jaw. Find your focal points.
You like that? You like
I didn't even see
And stop.
grab a pony.
Stop.
You know what we call that, right?
Here we go. The story is told that in the Queen's Court with Queen Victoria that something happened, and the Queen Victoria just simply looked at the person with "I am not amused" look, and the guy just melted away and vanished and ran. And that's what we're shooting for. It's that Queen Victoria.
Oh, I said Queen Elizabeth.
There might be. I am not amused. There's some might. One of those refrains. So, Eric asked a great question. Can I cross my arms? In a moment, we're going to practice standing and turning so that we can look at a student that's disrupting our class with that expressionless face. So, let me show you some ways not to do it, and you tell me what I am communicating with my body language. Okay, you ready? All right. I'm anxious, right?
Yeah.
Defensive. Irritated. Now what if I have the little fingers? And I add the toe tap. I got a little baby. Do I look like I'm happy or no? You can tell, right? Okay. What if I was to do this?
Not amused.
Yeah, that's Bob's
I did 3 years of subbing, and I started every morning like that.
Okay, so now what am I communicating? She's giggling.
Yeah.
Did I react to it?
No.
All right. What if I challenged her? Would you please turn into the desk, put your feet forward, and stop laughing? Don't do it.
That's what they would say.
Okay? There's that. I just started some back talk, didn't I? All right. Now, I don't think it's tonight. We're not doing move in, move out tonight, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, so she's not stopping to laugh, and we're trying to do some independent work. So now I can move in. Now she knows exactly why I'm over here. But do I say anything? She might even say something. What? I'm not doing anything. We're just helping her. If you teach this class right, I wouldn't have to help her. And I just stand here. Pretty soon, she's going to stop. We call that upping the ante, right? Each time she challenges me, she's putting another chip in the pot. But I'm not calling her. I'm not playing her game. We're in a melodrama here, and it's a one-act play. Because as soon as I enter into the act, I'm doing half the work. Yeah, she's going to backtalk me. I'm going to let her do it all on her own. And I'm not going to enter into it. Does that mean that I let it go? No. I say, hey, we need to talk after class, and we'll figure it out. Okay? Even if somebody swears at you. I don't know, Mr. Thornton, F you! How do I react? One of the things we're going to learn is to stop. In fact, no reaction is oftentimes the best reaction, because we can shift gears, go from brainstem to, I take my relaxing breath, I'm going to check my jaw, I'm going to find a focal point, I'm going to calm down, and they're like going, oh no, what's he going to do? The whole time this is going on, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, what's he going to do? Maybe I give a nonverbal cue. The student gets back to work finally. What do? I need to see that. And I do it in such a way that did you hear what I said? So did I point her out in front of everybody? No. If you ever say F me, you get messed up. What happens if I challenge her from here? Oh, that's it, you're right, referral. Especially in junior high. Ooh. How long does it take to write a referral and get a student removed from class?
20 minutes.
Too long.
20 minutes, I heard. I think that's a pretty accurate write. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Is that, if we were equating that to currency, is that expensive or cheap? You don't actually know how expensive it is. Okay, so I send her out of class. Where is she going to go? Office. Where is she sitting?
Waiting room.
She's not sitting next to the principal. She's sitting next to who? Secretary. Does she have a credential? No. Does she know how to manage a class? Is the student doing any work? No. Students got a victory. All they wanted was out of class. They got it.
Plus, if they're in the office, they're usually with kids that are also in
There's 4 other knuckleheads sitting right there next to them. Yeah, right? And then, what you don't appreciate because you haven't sat in their shoes is what the administrator's dealing with, right? The administrator finally gets to your student, but this is after 2 hours of chasing a runaway and going and doing a visit at home and to talk to parents about a kid that's run away. Or they just went into the bathroom and busted 7 kids for smoking pot. Right? Or they just busted up a huge fight and their adrenaline's running.
Or you just got off the phone with CPS.
A whole kind of things that are going on. And I was talking to your dad about his schedule, and he was saying, I just want to get into class and observe teachers, and he showed me a schedule, and there's meetings all over the place. They're under a tremendous amount of pressure. Actually, I think they have too much on their plate. So you come in because you said F you. All right, honey. I've never heard you say that before. Do me a favor. I want you to apologize to the teacher and don't ever do that again, okay? All right, go back to class. Now you're getting the kid back. Oh, heck no, I just kicked you out. Administration doesn't give a rip about discipline. Incredibly expensive to remove a kid from your class. And what are the state and national trends saying about this kind of behavior as it relates to suspensions and expulsions? Can't do it. It's almost to the point that it's becoming codified in law. I cannot suspend or expel a student for being disruptive. Wow. So what are we going to do? You have to handle it in your class.
But keep in mind too, you should value what you're doing in your classroom so much that if possible, you don't want to send those kids out. I mean, there needs to be a level of arrogance on your part, or confidence, I guess you could say, that this kid is going to be sitting there doing nothing, hanging out with a bunch of knuckleheads, driving the secretary crazy, and wasting all that class time. If you can handle it early on, that kid stays in that class and at least learns. I mean, they might hear it through osmosis, but whatever. if they get something in their head, okay, that's important. And you might, ideally, your room's gonna be the safe place for them. Okay, so even though they'd like, it's a medal to get kicked out, they're safe in your classroom. And that's where they should be. And I've never been in administration, and I've been encouraged to do so, and I don't want to do that, because I've always wanted to take the kids that were the worst, and most of you are gonna be that way too. Don't let them leave your classroom. Value what you're doing.
Yeah. All right, so there is a whole bunch of what ifs after we say that. So we have 20 minutes left. I am not going to give you 9.5 sessions tonight. Okay, we have layers in place to deal with some of the things that we've been describing tonight. What we're trying to do right now is target the big one. Okay, to handle most of your issues with some simple techniques. But we have a refocus area that's coming. We have some reinforcements that's coming. We have some other strategies in place. But we want to start with our 4 modules of learning how to control and setting limits of our instructional environment. And we have, I tell you, there's a whole bunch more coming. But so don't get like, it's coming.
If you don't mind me saying, because since I'm an RSP teacher, I actually deal with a lot of stuff that the principal would normally deal with. I get general ed teachers constantly sending me my SPED students that after they've had they're not doing the work, they're not listening, being defiant, whatever. Before they send them to the principal's office, it's usually the students sent to my classroom for me to have to deal with. And oftentimes I'm in the middle, because I have a schedule, I'm in the middle of a group with 4 other students working. All of a sudden my aide walks the student in either via the teachers asking them to, or them saying, I don't know what to do anymore with the kid. They won't work for me. They keep saying no. They keep doing this, that. And then I have to stop what I'm doing with my 4 students who I have legally required service minutes to provide to them, try to step off to the side, deal with this one student. I can't have my aide sit with my kids who I'm working with, because they need to tell me what happened as to why they're bringing the child to me in the first place. And then I have to sit and hopefully within a 5-minute time frame try to figure out what's going on. If there's a repercussion that I can give or a consequence that I can give that, and then I have to send the student right back to class, because I can't always keep them in my class when I'm trying to work with other students.
That is where refocus will come in. Because they're using you as a buddy teacher, and it'll all make sense later, but it doesn't help you now.
But I mean, I deal with that on a weekly basis, 2-3 times a week.
We've got more coming. Keep coming. Keep coming.
The refocus that you're talking about, are you talking about is that not implemented throughout the rest of the district, or is it?
It is, but I'm going to teach you how to use it properly.
Desmond's always been a little bit ahead on that.
Okay, yeah, because we've been using it since the beginning of the year.
The only thing is, a lot of the teachers, including at Desmond,
They don't enforce it.
they don't enforce it, and they use it as a step to refer. You know what I mean? It's the short step to referring and kicking kid out. And so it'll make more sense as this unfolds.
I'm amazed when I have to sit there, because I have students that I'll send to refocus, and when I go fill it in, whenever time I get to during that day, I'm amazed at the amount of students. I think yesterday or last week I counted 147 different students.
That means that the other stuff's not being used first. All this stuff so when he talks about layers, we're trying to give you guys an arsenal of tools to use first. Refocus needs to be almost how you think of referrals now is really how refocus should be used for you. Yeah, and see, people are using it as a first step, and it's not intended that way. And that's why we're going through this stuff and providing tools to use first, hopefully prolong or whatever, push it off. The refocus needs to be almost like a last resort prior to, And it's not being used like that at all.
No, not even at Desmond. It's not.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I said, yeah.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time at Desmond the last 2 years. Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking for suggestions when you're using the proximity and maybe a little reminder and trying to stay calm. I've had times when other students, they start getting into it with that student. just be quiet, just stop it, you're holding us up. Yeah, and then they start screaming at each other, and then I'm kind of like, oh, no.
When you're junior high, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, high school kids can self-correct, or correct one
But they're always
another.
not nice.
Yeah, but
So, yeah, one of the things, there's two things, and I can't get into it.
Okay.
One is that you're gonna learn how to have responses that lower the things that are going on. Like she said, that may be, but you still have to be, okay? So we're gonna teach you those.
we
The
can't
sec-
throw it all at you guys because you'll be like,
Right.
whoa,
The
shut up,
second
you
thing
know.
is that we're going to teach you how to have behaviors and expectations, and one of the things that you would say is, in my class, that's not how we handle a situation. Let's practice that. And so you're gonna make the students that respond, yeah, sure, well, no, it's okay to ask them to be quiet because we wanna learn.
But that's not how we do it.
That's not how we do it in my class. So let's practice.
A learning
I want you to
moment.
Say, can you be quiet, please? And let's try that. And we're gonna get there. And I will tell you that, most teachers have 3 or 4 or 5 rules. In fact, I just picked up a flyer today for Easton. They talked about respect. Yay. But you have 150 procedures. And that is a procedure we're actually going to call a teach tube. And the third thing is you can never hold a kid accountable for a behavior that you haven't taught. So here's the thought. I know because my parents told me, if you can't talk nice to your brother, I'm going to knock you into next week. My dad used to say, I'm going to hit you so hard, you're going to wake up in a hospital. Come on now. He never did, but. All right, but he was saying, in this house, we don't talk to our brothers that way. And there was an expectation. And there was some, he meant it. I could tell. He meant it. And so you're going to have the same thing. You're going to have teach tubes, and 100 of them. No, let's try this as a class. All right, class, let's practice with pairs, pair share, right? Or whatever you want to do, but you're going to teach the exact behavior that you want. From putting their name in the left-hand upper corner with their period and the date, to how I get late work, how I turn in money for a fundraiser, to pencils, to
How I ask questions. Like,
all of it.
I used to joke that I would say, okay, you guys, we're on page, I was an English teacher, okay, we're on page 13, we're going to start, and I'm going to divide up the parts. And then I would make the joke, watch, 2 more people are going to ask me what page, even though it's written right here. Watch.
Guaranteed.
What page are we on? 13. And then one more kid would say it, and I said, did I tell you? 3 times, right? And so, had I then teach you, I would have said, I will always write the page right here. So when I tell you what page I need you to be on, it will be right here. Okay, everybody turn, what page did I put on here? Everybody will tell me, everybody will open their book, and then it cuts out that whole, because I used to repeat myself a lot because I felt like every kid deserved 80,000 chances to my expense. So if once I've taught it, then I can just say, they know. But I've made it clear instead of them guessing what my protocol is. Make sense? Okay.
Okay, we are now going to practice the turn. The turn. What does that mean? Well, you can actually stand up. Don't stand up yet. And we're going to practice turning towards a disruption in your classroom and giving them the Queen Victoria, I am not amused look, and hoping that that squashes it. And it works a lot of times. You'd be surprised at how just looking at a student that's goofing around, good kid, right? They're just off task. Just giving them a look, and right, they'll calm down for you. Okay. So the idea is that we're over here helping Larry, and their disturbance over here. My PE teachers are always off task because they're bored. And so I hear, and I'm going to do this. Excuse me, Larry. And then, because I do not want to get to fight, flight, reflex, I'm going to take a relaxing breath. I'm going to check my jaw. I won't be able to find a focal point. And then I'm going to exhale and turn. Excuse me, Larry. And I'm going to slowly turn, and it should take about 10 seconds in this direction. Now, we talked about hands. I told you that this communicated one thing, right? So I'm going to put my hands down this side. Can you put your hands in your pocket? Guys can. I know I'm being sexist, but girls, sometimes you wear pants with no pockets, or you wear a dress with no pockets. And if your habit is to put your hands in your pocket and you happen to not have it that day, you look funny. So, hands at your side. You can put them in front of you. You can put them behind you. And you can't fidget. That looks agitated. I'm impatient, right? It has to be all of your body language. Now they're cracking jokes. Do I smile? Junior high, they might fart. Do I laugh? Inside, I'm dying. But I can't smile. Right? And now I'm working on calming myself down. I'm thinking about being calm. Why is that so important? Because I don't want to react with my reptilian brain. Because I will automatically go, check this out, to the way my parents parented me. Right? So how many of you had mama who would nag you to do something? How many had mom? How many of you had mom who just said, I said now, and she meant it and scared the bejeebers out of you? Right? How many of them had, wait till your dad gets home? And we sent a kid out of the office, to the office, by the way, that's the same thing as saying, wait till your dad gets home.
You've given up all your power.
I just abdicated my authority to the administrator. And when I was a kid, and my mom would say, wait till your dad gets home, I'm like, oh, okay, I get to goof off till dad gets home. Now, when dad gets home, I'll pay a price, but, right?
I had a student, and I've tried everything that I know how to do and everything that everybody else has suggested, and I talked to mom, and mom said, oh, he has the same problems here at home. You just need to immediately send him out of your class. She said he cannot refocus or regroup.
I would say that's not an option.
You just need to send him out of your class.
Well, my wife, preschool at Washington, and she encounters this. Sometimes she has a kid that'll bounce off the furniture. Dump it on the table, jump it on the couch, jump it on the table. She talks to mom. Hey, Larry is bouncing around. Is that something that's okay at home? Well, yeah, we let the kids horse house. Oh, okay, I understand. And then the next day when she works with Larry, she says, in this room, this is how we do things. And we go back to the teach twos that we haven't gotten to yet in our chapter. And so we teach behavior of, this is our expectation in this room. That's part of it. Number two, so the second thing is, remember I told you that you have high expectations. So you're going to have high expectations. What we haven't even begun to talk about is also having empathy or communicating caring to the student. And there's when you really care, and a kid really can read that, when they connect with you, they'll walk through walls for you. And so if you're like, he's coming to class today, I was hoping he was sick, and you're all tense every time he comes, he can read that. He doesn't read it consciously, but subconsciously. And well, my teacher doesn't like it, right? And I will tell you that if a kid thinks that you don't like him, whether it's true or not, this perception is reality. If your student doesn't think you care about them, they will not cooperate. They won't do their homework, they won't behave.
Well, and with what you're saying, we talk about, like, I knew my grandparents had very different standards for my behavior than my parents. We all did, right? We all had different people that we knew. So the fact that his mom lets him act like a fool doesn't mean you have to. We all know that there's other, we know that we can't walk into church and play, rap music. I mean, that's just not going to fly. I mean, there's certain things that in society that we have to know how to behave. And,
my church it would, but
yeah, well, and so I mean, you can expect more. Even if she says, "Well, you just need to send them out," no, that's not an option.
So what you really understand is you don't have any support at home. In this case, mom's not going to be a teammate for you to help reinforce what you're trying to do. So now you're going to have to strategize in other ways. And so you're going to have to come up with an individual game plan for him. Can you do 10 minutes for me? If you get 10 minutes, I'll give you a sticker, a check, a Tootsie Roll, or whatever. And we call it incentivizing. And other people call it bribing, but it isn't true. We are all incentivized. And what we're hoping to do is take an external motivation and make it intrinsic, internal. It takes a game plan. So remember we talked about prevention is worth a pound of cure? You have to game plan. Put in lots of structure. And it may mean special seating arrangements or isolated seating arrangements. Or when you're ready to join the group, you may. If otherwise, I need you to sit over there. Those kind of things where you're isolating. What grade?
He's sophomore.
Oh, wow. So there also might be some other issues involved. So that might be in time to call an SST and look at his cues. Is this a reoccurring thing? Or did they go through a divorce last year and all of a sudden this is new behavior? Right? So you'll need to look at the cues and kind of figure that out. Since you're at the high school level, you'll also talk to his other teachers, find out if he's doing the same behavior in that class, or is it just unique to you? And if it's different in other classes, what are they doing differently that you're not? So there's a lot you can do here for research to find out how to help the student. Hope that helps. 5 seconds. We have more coming up. All right. I need you to stand up. I want you to 3/4 turns away from me and put your hand on the desk at the back of the chair.
You guys are helping Larry.
All right. You hear a disturbance and you check it out, but you don't stand up yet, so your hands on the table like you're helping somebody. Put your palm on the table and make it lean over a little bit. You're going to check the disturbance. It's over here. I'm the disturbance. You're going to put your head back down. You're going to say, "Excuse me, Larry." Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Exhale. Slowly stand up. Slowly turn towards me. All right. So here's a question. If you see me and there's nothing in front of me, and I have one foot pointed at you, the problem, and one foot pointed somewhere else, what am I communicating with my body language? I'm kind of interested in what you're doing, but not fully committed. So, when we do our turn, we have to fully commit. Both toes have to point at the issue. Got it? Okay, so back down. Palms on that table. There's a disturbance over here, so you check the disturbance. You say, "Excuse me, Larry," but you don't stand up. You take a relaxing breath. You check your jaw. You exhale. And you take 6 or 7 seconds to turn towards me, nice and slow. A lot better. Let me ask you this question. You're all looking at me. So I'm having over here, I'm speaking on my problem. And I turn real quick. What does that communicate? I am real pissed, right? Yeah, challenge. In high school, we've had teachers get in fights with students. By the way, what would happen if you put a hand on a student in anger? Not only are you losing your job, you're losing your credential, and I think the new state law is if you get your credential pulled for something like this, you could lose your retirement too. Y'all are just starting out, most of you. You lose your credential permanently in the state of California, you're done. All your education, everything you've done, over with. Okay? There's only 3 or 4 things that will get you instantly fired. And one of them is touching a student in anger, and another one is touching them inappropriately. You know what I mean? And the third one is stealing. If you steal money, you're gone. Okay? Those 3 are the big ones. The rest we can manage. We've had teachers come to school drunk and high, and we've worked with them. We put them in rehab and try to find a way around it.
I think there were administrators that were in that boat too.
Yes.
And what happened to them?
Yeah.
Administrators are on a different kind of contract.
Oh, are they?
They are. And besides, and I will tell you, if you drink alcohol at school, you're pretty much done. So that's the problem. But if you're having an alcohol problem or a drug problem, the course of action is rehab, not automatic firing. Counseling, that sort of thing. Okay? But you touch a student out of anger, you touch a student sexually, or you steal, you're done. There's no coming back from that. Okay. All right, let's try again. Hands down. I'm not going to get to moving in right now. We got 5 minutes.
He needs it. We'll add it in next time.
So, there's a disturbance. You check the disturbance. You look back down. You say, excuse me, Larry. Take a relaxing breath. You check your jaw. Exhale. And you turn in a count of 6 to 10 towards me. I got it. Good. All right, have a seat.
Oh, man.
That was scary.
All right. So, some of the things that we'll work on is, like I said, this is I'm going to get most of the kids that they're not really bad kids. They're not really trying to be disobedient. And you're just grabbing their attention again and refocusing them through body language. But if they're doing independent work and it's not working, we're going to teach you how to move in and use your physical presence to cause them to feel real awkward. So, because if I came over here to address a problem, even as an adult to an adult, inundating his space, he's feeling awkward. He was getting out of candy and he stopped. Right? We're going to practice that next time. I will tell you that when we do it, you're going to like going, oh man, this feels weird. I don't want to be this close to it. I don't know, man. But I promise that if you can master it in this setting, you can do it in the classroom. And it works. And you can eliminate a whole bunch of stuff without ever having to say a word. And check this out. When you go home, because your fight-flight reflex hasn't been initiated all day long, you're going to feel better. And instead of grabbing the wine, you might say, I got all kind of energy, I think I'm going to go for a walk. Right? How many of you go home and these muscles right here are sore, stiff? You're like, would you rub my back? Because it's just like, you know why? Fight, fly, or driving 99, either way. All right. We're going to do moving in and out. What do you got?
Well, I just was going to give you like a quick overview. So we are giving you tools, and some of them might be a little mixed up. Classroom design is your #1. Strategically placing kids in certain areas, making sure that you've got the interior booth, two desks away. That will eliminate a significant amount of problems. Okay. Stay calm in proximity. And then you've got the Queen Liz face. Focus on your 5 kids that you wrote down. Maybe move them around and see where they work best and next to who. And then these are the things that you're focusing on right now. Your homework is going to be 2 articles. One is reviewing what we did today. One of them is preparing for the next class. And then there is a questionnaire where you can respond. You're going to respond to how well you're staying calm, your Queen Elizabeth, your turn, all that. You're going to use that hopefully more than once, and you're going to reflect on that. Is that all chewable? Is that? Yeah, no, you're just reading them right now. The first one is Tips for Using Proximity by Catapano. I thought it was very interesting, and it's pretty short. And then how to set consistent expectations to improve student behavior. Next class, we're starting.